Welcome. It's Sarah Naylor here, executive coach and mentor, and I am delighted to be joined by the amazing Vanessa Raath or Raath. I never know how to pronounce it, Van. So I want
Don't
to go
stress.
Raath.
Most people do. No, it's just a plain old simple Roth. So how are you
Raath.
doing, Sarah?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. And it's just
Excellent.
brilliant. I love connecting with Van because we're in completely different parts of the world. Van is sort of almost as far south as you can get, and I'm up in Norfolk in the UK, but you're down in South Africa, aren't you?
I am
So
indeed, yeah, on the beautiful garden route. So all good.
oh, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. But Vanessa's here with me today, and I'm absolutely thrilled because she has become somewhat of an expert on recruitment and AI, particularly focusing in on recruiters. But I am going to be picking her brains as to how we can use AI when actually you are a job. I want to say job seeker, that sounds a little bit basic, but when you are looking to change careers, you're looking for a new job, you're looking for employment in whatever guise that might be, how AI is actually impacting the individual in terms of the job search, not just the recruiter who is looking to fulfill the
Yeah.
requirements for clients and looking for candidates. But let's dig in, Van. Where are you at in terms of the individual who is in that position of using AI now? Because I mean, the world's changed considerably since I left recruitment a couple of years ago. And it's like, holy moly, where do we start?
Absolutely. Well, there's a very common saying doing the rounds at the moment, and that is, don't miss out on your next opportunity to somebody who is using AI. So I think that the analogy there is that people are employing people with the skills that they can use AI effectively in order to make them more efficient at the jobs that they are doing. And you don't want to miss out on your next opportunity to somebody who uses AI more effectively than you do. And that's literally what it's boiling down to.
Wow, really? So actually
Yeah.
it's having that capacity to use AI in the workplace that employers are
Yeah.
now really keen to see. So how would somebody demonstrate that, on a curriculum vitae? I mean, are people still using curriculum vitae or CVs or resumes or whatever you want to call it in whatever part of the world? Because I know a few years ago, one of the job boards that I used to use said, "Do you want people to submit a CV?" Yes, I want to know what people have done. And for me, creating a great CV is really important, getting those key words on there. And is that something that people should be demonstrating on a
It's
CV?
definitely something that is very much in demand is a CV.
Mm.
The only second kind of close runner to that is a very good LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
So if you have all of your training and all of your courses and it's up to date, people can pull a PDF from your LinkedIn profile, which is a great thing to be able to do because it actually saves you having to write out a CV from scratch every time. But yes, I think it's as simple as saying, plus user of OpenAI, ChatGPT, or paid user of Grok or Claude or Perplexity, or I think it's definitely worthwhile putting something like that on your CV because it shows that there is an understanding and a comprehension about what is AI and how can it help you. And my advice to people who maybe don't have that is to go and just play around with one of the large language models and just use it for your personal usage. I mean, I have people putting together gym training programs, marathon running programs, what to make for dinner programs, shopping lists, all of those things. And I think that that's it's great because you're learning how to work with AI more effectively.
Yeah. And well, I mean, only a few months, well, probably no, not a few months, a bit more than that, probably about a year, 8 months, a year ago or more. I was a little bit of a reluctant adopter to it. So I want to use my mind, I want to use it. But actually, when you start to use it as an additional tool in your
Yeah.
toolkit, it makes a massive difference. And as you've just said, for anybody that's listening that hasn't yet, sort of looked
Yeah.
into
Dipped a toe
ChatGPT,
in the water.
yeah, just dip in, play around with it, because the more you
Yeah.
play around with it, the more you start to learn how it can help. And one of the things that I love using it for is, right, I've got these ingredients. Can you come up with a recipe? Because I've got this stuff in the store cupboard or in the fridge or whatever that I need to use.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
one
It's a great
really,
way.
simple
Yeah.
thing you can
Yeah.
do. And like you said, like training plans, I've programmed in my marathon training and my sort of food and meal planning and things like that into it.
Yep.
But it's also helped me rewrite my website. That's not without, I'm not working on it. I'm not used it specifically and gone, right, there it is, bang, it goes in. There's been a lot of editing around that. And I think that's
and there should be.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's something we need to touch on once you start to use it a little bit more professionally, which brings me neatly into creating a CV using AI. Because if you use AI, and I would love your opinion on this completely, is if you are using AI to do your CV, don't just leave it at that.
True, and I think that, you know, there's tools out there which you can go onto the internet and you can Google, you know, AI tools for creating a CV, which are great, and you can feed it all of your information, or you could go to a generative AI tool like a ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok or whatever, and you can create your CV from scratch. You can maybe give it your old version, you can maybe put in your LinkedIn profile, and I think that there's, you know, people have paid for many years to have CV writers, and people write CVs for them. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But I think that it needs to be, people need to understand it's a discussion with your generative AI. So you could put in your old CV and you could say something like, how would I improve this? Or can you angle this job for the role that I'm applying for? It is a graphic designer role in London, or it's a financial manager role in Norfolk, or whatever it might be.
Yes, yeah.
Help to angle it in that kind of direction. So it becomes a document that can be easily adapted, as long as you remember that you're not lying, and you know what you can do is what you can do, and you don't want it to be making up things, and you want to proofread it before you go and send it off to whoever you're sending it to.
Yes, because that is something to sort of really note, that AI can make mistakes. And even when I've been chatting away to it and it's got all my information, you go, no, that is not what I said. You've really got to be mindful. But I think what I was alluding to really was, if you just go do a sort of cut and paste job with AI, sometimes, well, you know, and I know, when you can read somebody, if somebody's done something on LinkedIn or created something in AI and they haven't modified it personally, it has that cleanliness, sterility that AI can do. I mean, it creates perfection, but it loses something in the energy if you're not then enhancing it yourself. Because I know when I've created stuff, I'm going, it just doesn't really feel like me, even though it's in my voice. And people will spot that, because people are becoming more and more aware of what AI sounds
but there
like.
are, you know, things around that. I mean, if you are paying for it, you could build your own GPT and train it to sound like you, which I think is a very important thing to do, because it makes your editing on the other side of whatever you have created a lot less, and it does sound like you. And I think that the more you use it and the better your prompts become, the less editing you should be doing. So you know, I think we've got to start thinking that these generative AI tools are like a junior member of the team. You know, they're like an intern, a graduate, and the more that you sit with them and the more that you speak to them and the more that you train them and you say things like, okay, ask me questions about this, or ask me questions about myself that will make you understand me more and what I'm trying to achieve, you know, I think goes a long way. But if you just give it, you know, a rushed, very short half a sentence prompt, you're going to get a very rushed generic response coming back.
Yeah, actually, and that is such an important point to sort of really emphasize and highlight, because the results, as is with everything in life, the outcome is only as good as what you put in. So it's important that you make those prompts clear. So when it comes down to your CV, as you said, it's important to get the dates correct, and it's important to not to lie, but it's also important to get all the information in and those key points in relation to the jobs that you might be applying for. So I guess we could also point out that, you know, if you are going to, you could upload the job description that you're applying for and ask them to tailor the CV to fit with the job that is there based on the actual facts that you've given them.
You could, but I would just mention that if you are going to upload your CV, I would rather do that in a paid for version of a generative AI. And if you don't want to pay for it, just take out your details, your things like your phone number, your address, you know, those kind of things, because you know, you've got to assume that everything that you put into a generative AI tool like OpenAI is that anyone at OpenAI can read it. So probably less is more. But if you are paying for it and you're building your own GPTs and you have clicked that little switch that says, don't use my data for training purposes, then I would feel a little bit more comfortable with people doing that.
Yeah, that's a very, very, very good point. Because I know when I've been working with it, I pay for it, obviously, and I've had it, you know, I love working with people and creating their CVs and getting that sort of energy and the flow of them into that. But when I've then put it into ChatGPT, again, I have removed those important bits of information, because actually all you're doing is you're putting the information into the internet. So you've got to be really mindful how you use it. And I guess really ought to mention that if you are using it generally, you know, be mindful of what you are putting in, because it's going into the internet. So don't put anything that is sort of highly private or confidential into ChatGPT.
Not necessarily going into the internet, but going to the creators of the generative AI tool, and they could be using it to train their models. And it's just a big gray area at the moment. So I would be very careful about what you put into these.
Yeah. So really then the top tips are to sort of really familiarize yourself with it, because employers are keen to see that people do understand. Because I know that's something that you do anyway. You train businesses in using AI, and I can only assume, because you are so busy at the moment, that there's an awful lot of people out there that really haven't embraced much of it at all.
Well, it was interesting. I did a poll on LinkedIn recently about, you know, what is your company's stance around the usage of generative AI? And it was, you know, we're allowed to use whatever tools we want. We've been told we're not allowed to use it. It's blocked on our systems. And I think 65% of people, or in between 65% and 70%, came back with, we're encouraged to use the tools, and there's no restrictions, which just shows that, you know, I think if people are realizing that they're using the generative AI tools correctly, I'm sure there's a couple of people being pulled into, you know, the right office before LinkedIn posts that you can see are very much, you know, GPT generated or emails, and that's where the training piece comes in for me, is that anyone could go and use generative AI, but it's about using it correctly and using it sensibly and not, you know, damaging the employer brand.
Yeah, absolutely. But coming back to sort of an employee looking for a position, an employer is going to be more warm and attracted to somebody who's got an understanding of it and not fearful of it, because I guess there's a lot of people that are still, I mean, I know people in the recruitment business that have really not touched on it at all, which
I think there's also a lot of fear, to be honest. I think that there's a lot of people, and not just in the recruitment industry, but in many industries, that are like, if I don't go and use it, you know, it's not going to replace me, which I think is, you know, it's been 3 years now. It's, you know, we kind of need to realize that it's not a flash in the pan. It's not a fad. It's here to stay. We may as well start learning how to use it, and use it to augment what we are doing, but not replace us.
I know exactly.
It's an interesting exercise to take each role and to take the skills and say, okay, these skills can be done by AI, or, you know, this is what I do on a daily basis. This can be done by AI, but this definitely can't. And then us as human beings to take the ones that definitely can't be done by AI and really like amp those up, because that's what we want to be doing more of, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you, as a human, you can provide a much better level of customer service, personal service, the softer side of things than you can if you're then, I mean, this stuff that, I mean, I have been passing in so much into AI, and it just speeds it up. It's just been brilliant in what I've needed it to be, you know, I've needed to do it. And I still need to personalize mine. It's crazy. I've been so busy with what I've been doing. I'm going, I need to do this. And it also says the storage is full. I'm going, oh dear. So obviously asked it to save too much stuff, and I need to go in and work out how to delete stuff as well, because it won't do that for you. You have to go in and do that manually. But it's been really interesting. And I have to say to everybody that's listening, it's because of Van that I've really sort of pushed and explored ChatGPT myself and sort of moved into it. As I say, having been a reluctant sort of adopter in the first instance, but I've really benefited, because I used to have a full-time office manager PA who I used to push a lot of stuff out to, but now being, as I am a coach, mentor, not running recruitment business or anything like that anymore, I can have conversations with it, and it's motivational and it chats to you, but it is about how you feed it. It is about what you put in, and actually, when we think more holistically and globally in terms of how we all use AI, it's how we build it ourselves, and that comes down to what we're putting in. So coming down to the CV, then it is about being able to put it on there that you can use it because you've been playing around with it at home or whatever it is that you've done on it, using it to create your CV, but not in a sort of a flat way, putting in your information, but working with it and training it, like you said, into your voice. So it's got that energy of you on your CV. But I did mention, people can upload documents, can't they? So this is the job description I'm applying for. Can you adjust it so that it still reflects me, but picks up on certain things?
Absolutely, that could be done.
But you've got to be mindful that it suddenly doesn't create the CV to match the job description.
It's still going to be truthful. That's
exactly.
Yes.
Suddenly you're a train driver and you've never been near a bicycle, let alone a train. So
exactly.
It's as you say, it is being mindful, but it all comes down to the key element, which you've highlighted a couple of times, is the commands that you put in and how clear you are in respect of that. But that aside, how about using it to actually search for jobs, Van, and looking for jobs and looking for opportunities? Is there something that any insight on that from what, you've spoken to sort of employers and recruiters about yourself?
So two things on that. There's actually a very interesting tool at the moment out there. It's called Handshake. So the website is joinhandshake.com. And what it does is it actually will go and apply for jobs on your behalf. So you go to the website, you can upload your CV, and it uses AI to go and search the relevant jobs based on the criteria that you give it. And that's really interesting because, while you are, outside having a walk or going for a run, it's applying for jobs on your behalf.
Oh, by the way, you've got an interview in 5 minutes.
Something like that. So it's interesting that now AI is available for the candidates, the job seeker, to go and see if they can find work. It is increasing the number of applications being received by companies and agencies and all of those things, because it's quite broad search criteria. So that's the first thing. And the second thing that you could be doing is, now that tools like especially Perplexity and OpenAI have better links and can go and do research on the internet, is typing into these models and saying something like, I am a qualified train driver, I'm based in the UK, can you go out and see what are the options, who are the companies that are hiring in this space, can you put a link to any roles that I could go and apply for? So it could be doing all of that manual searching that you could have spent a long time on Google going and typing in train driver jobs, UK, the different companies, those kind of things. So it definitely will help you. We'll speed it up.
That's really interesting. So obviously, as a recruiter, both of us have both been recruiters. It was basically going into the job boards, wasn't it, and looking for the jobs. And I'm presuming, again, it's amazing. 2.5 years coming on 4 out of recruitment, and I've not dipped my toe in there at all because I don't need to. That's not what I do anymore. 36 years was enough. But how is it impacting the job boards? When people are applying for jobs, are the job boards using more AI themselves? The likes of CV Library, Read, Monster, you name it.
To be honest, those are the ones that are actually not really keeping up from an AI perspective, as the job board. So LinkedIn's got an AI element in it now. It's interesting. What I am hearing is that there is an absolute wave of applications per role, which has never been experienced before, especially in like European markets. So it's now actually coming down to the businesses, the companies in Europe are now looking at AI tools themselves to now sort through the 500 CVs per role, sort them out in, what is the closest match, 1 to 500, and then putting like the top 10% in front of the recruiters. So you're basically ending up with a scenario now where you've got candidates AI talking to companies AI, and that's how the high level recruitment is happening.
Goodness me. Dare I say it? If somebody just picks up the phone and overrides all of that and finds the person and goes, "Hello, I've seen your job. Can I apply for it?"
Exactly. I mean, when was the last time you tried to phone someone and got hold of who you wanted to talk to in
Oh
anything?
my gosh. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I
Yeah,
remember,
let alone
even a few
recruitment.
years ago, just trying to do some business development on, recruitment
Yeah,
side. Yeah, it drives you mad. And I don't understand how businesses operate without contact details on their websites. But you just,
yeah,
hello, there must be a telephone number here somewhere I can ring.
exactly,
But
exactly.
it is. But that's really interesting, though, that you should say that. I mean, when you were saying about the volumes, I remember many years ago, you'd put an advert in for an administrator and you'd wait for the avalanche of CVs
Yes, yeah,
or the phone calls. Because I started out in recruitment when people didn't have CVs and nobody had computers or mobile phones, because I'm that old. But it's been really interesting to see how it is now shifted and to get that volume.
yep,
I mean, crikey. So thinking on that then, Van, if as we've been talking about people using AI to apply for jobs in terms of their
yeah.
job search, if they are now listening to this and going, oh my God, how do I rise to the above, how do I rise up the pack with all of that? So what is the key for them to rise
That's
to the top of the pack?
it's a very good question. It's a valid question because, for my opinion around that, it's all about having a good online brand,
Hmm.
so that you actually noticed for your skills online, and you don't need to apply for jobs because people are approaching you for jobs. Like, for me, that would be the ideal. So that's
Hmm.
why, I'm a big advocate of, even us as business owners, we post on LinkedIn regularly, we have an online brand, we have a presence. I mean, even down to us posting on Strava,
Yeah.
things like that. It's all about, putting yourselves out there. And I believe that candidates need to do the same, because how you do stand out, it's not on the piece of paper with the information on, because anyone can really put anything
Yeah.
on their CV, and
Hmm.
you don't always have human eyes going through ad responses. It could be AI. But what the human would probably do is say, okay, well, I've got Susan's CV. Let me go and check on Susan online. Let me run a Google search. Let's see what it is she's done. Oh, look, she was a guest on a podcast. Oh, look, she runs this community. She speaks at this conference.
Yeah.
She's got a presence. She's got a following. This is somebody that we want on our team.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I
So
think that
it's
that's
upping your
that's
online
becoming,
presence. Yeah.
and it also shows that you're a real person.
Yeah.
You're not a chatbot. You're not a um, you someone who is there in the flesh and blood and can be believed, genuine, authentic. And I think that that's also going to start going a long way these days. Is that
Yeah.
it's going to become more important. That humanness of individuals coming out.
Yeah. I think that's a really interesting point that you make, though, about the whole sort of online presence, because I know a lot of people don't want an online presence, but what I would encourage, above and beyond anything else, if you are looking for a more of a career job, or move like that, is that LinkedIn presence. I'm not talking about a Facebook profile or anything else, but if you've got at least a nice, tidy, up to date LinkedIn profile, and
Yep.
you've got a picture of yourself head and shoulders. I mean, I've learned so much about photography, when you're talking or you're posting, and it's all written sort of in the positive. Again, we come back to AI. Once you've fed the information into the AI,
Yep.
chat GPT, whatever it is, to create your profile, you can take some of that and you can populate your LinkedIn profile with that,
Yep.
because people will then run searches. I mean, one of my clients, who I sort of caught up with last week, with my coaching clients, I mean, he's just been headhunted for a much bigger job, some global role. It's like, the details of it all sort of blows my mind away. But he was approached directly online, because people can see what he's doing, and he's been regularly writing and posting blogs on behalf of his client company. And he's in a sort of more of a techie sort of world. I won't say too much because I don't want to give people's details too much away. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's not about having to, as an applicant, it's not about being on there and posting all the time, but it's having a solid presence. Because I know,
Yeah.
as a recruiter or anybody that's wanting to do business, you go and you have a look, and as you say, it humanizes somebody, doesn't it, rather
Yeah.
than AI. So any other top tips then for anybody using
Um.
AI as a somebody who's looking to change jobs, careers? We've talked about using it, understanding it, putting it on the CV,
Yep.
using it to create a CV, searching for CVs, searching for jobs and opportunities. What else would you suggest, Van?
So I think that you don't want to be left behind. I think that that's the key thing. So, I mean, there's no excuse, there's no charge. I mean, especially if you're on the market, you've probably got quite a bit of time on your hands. You can literally go to any one of the large language models, and you can go and you can log on, you can create a free account and just kind of get an understanding of how it works. I mean, another thing that I always recommend is that I'm a firm believer in the University of YouTube. So,
Oh, yes.
you know, go and spend some time on YouTube, go and understand, you know, AI, understand the impacts it's going to have in your particular niche or industry. You know, even if you can just have a high level conversation in an interview about that, about the impact of AI and, you know, what are your thoughts around it? I think is such a good use of time.
Yeah.
And you don't often have that time when you are employed.
No, that's very true. Yeah, I mean, it just even if you're just having a conversation around it to say, well, you know, I'm new to it. I've just explored it.
Yeah.
This is what I found out so far. These are my concerns.
Yeah.
This. You at least got something where you can build that rapport and you can expand the conversation from there. And actually, you can always then turn it into part of that growth for you in being suitable for the role, because you can grow with the company in learning, because you've got that open mind, that curiosity, that growth mindset, and you can present that even if you say you're not suddenly an expert on it, because I don't think anybody could claim to, well, apart from Van is an expert.
No, I don't even claim that. So I always explain that I'm the SME, the subject matter enthusiast, not the subject matter expert, because I think people that do, I mean, this stuff is just changing daily. I mean, you can't keep on top of it.
No. Oh gosh, it's insane. There was something else that was crossed my mind. Oh, I know what I was going to say as well. That just popped into my mind. I think it could be a great tool if you are actually prepping for an interview as well. You could go on to and ask for a summary of the business and what it's doing, because, well, and I'm sure you've had experiences as well. I mean, I've worked with tens of thousands of people in recruitment, and you can prep people and they'll still go and tell the business that there's something that they're not, but you can do that research and find out for yourself what the business does.
I think a good exercise would be to take your CV, take the job description, take a link to the company that you're interviewing for, put it all in and write a prompt that says, I'm interviewing for this role at this company. I want to set up like a mock interview. I want it to go on for 45 minutes. We're going to use the voice function. Please, will you prepare suitable questions for me? And let's go, and switch it to voice mode. And, you know, do a little bit of preparation for that particular interview.
Wow, that is a brilliant tip to land in there and to finish on, Van. Oh my gosh. I've not used the voice mode yet, and you'll wrap my knuckles. I still haven't downloaded the app, but in my defense, I have been doing rather a lot of other things, but it is on my list to do, because I know Van will always go out and you'll dictate into your chat GPT, won't you? So, and that's something else you could do if you're out and you go, oh my gosh, I've forgotten I do this, or I've done that, or I did this in that job. Oh my gosh, yes, and I use that system. And you can just bang that in as well. But what a brilliant idea, though, to use it for interview prep. Goodness me.
Absolutely.
But you can't send it to do the interview for you, folks.
Unfortunately, well, some people try. I actually read an article this morning about someone who did an interview and then realized it was a AI avatar in the interview, not a real human being.
No,
so, we're getting there. We're getting to that point.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So how would they have proposed doing the job then, if they had got it, if they've used an AI avatar?
I think that there's a lot of people who do this, get the job, and then they just work multiple jobs with using AI agents in the background. That's a whole new world.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm going to hang up my boots and go and swim in the sea. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's heading that way.
But that's where we come back into, I think, the personalization, and what we started talking about is AI will take roles and things will change. But when things shift and change, other opportunities arise as a result. And that's why I love doing sort of my in-person sort of walk and talk coaching and retreats, and getting out into nature and doing all the things that, you know, if you are stuck behind a computer, you can't do. And we've 100%. Spent too much, I think, of the last few years globally behind computers, whereas it's going to be liberating to free ourselves up to be able to do more of the in-person stuff, which ultimately, you know, all of us prefer to communicate with a human in person.
100%.
So, anyway, if you are looking for a role I hope this has helped. Please do subscribe to my channel because there's going to be a lot more content coming on a more regular basis. There's a lot of content already on here, and to have a dig around in it, there's so much loads in here. But please do reach out to Van if you are a business that needs staff training. Van, how do people get hold of you? I mean, we'll put it in the show notes, but shout it out now.
Well, I mean, website, vanessaraath.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. Anywhere really. I have a strong presence online because I'm trying to get ahead of the AI. So yeah, do a Google search and you will find me.
You will. You'll find her.
Yeah.
You'll find Van. And if you want to get in touch with me, if you really want to talk about a human about sort of career coaching and CVs and things like that, or life transformation, anything. If you're moving away from the world of work, come and talk to me as well. And I'm at sarahjnaylor.com. As I said, all the details will be in the notes below. Please give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this, and yeah, and do hit subscribe and look out for more content to come. Vanessa, Van, you're brilliant. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and join me and to share this wonderful information, because it's just so insightful, and it's just, it's exploding, like you said, and just giving some people some hope and some ideas of what to do is brilliant. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No worries.
Thanks.
Excellent. Okay. Cheers,
Thanks.
Sarah.
Bye. Bye.